stand for something. You must live for something. And you must be willing to die for something.
Sometimes people need to step outside of who they are to realize what they can really be.
All right, the time has finally come. I'm now able to talk about the film All Eyez on Me, which is the 2017 biopic drama film about the life of the hip-hop artist named Tupac Shakur, and it is also named after his 1996 fourth studio album of the same name. It was directed by Benny Boom, and it stars Demetrius Shipp Jr. as Shakur, whose dad coincidentally worked with Tupac on one of his albums as well. And it also had Cat Graham, Laura Cohan, Harper, and Danai Gurira in supporting roles. And basically, this film is supposed to be telling the life and story of Tupac from his rise to fame to his unfortunate death all those years ago. Now, one thing I have to definitely say about this movie is this was a well-directed film. I cannot lie. This is one of the better biopic films that I have seen in a long time. And I've seen some great biopics, but in terms of this one and the subject matter around it, I thought that this movie was handled very, very, very well. To me, All Eyez on Me is, again, doing more than just telling the life and the legacy of Tupac. It's talking about struggles. It's talking about the different forms of imprisonment and how brothers, yes, right, I said brothers, are like this, you know, are coming up every single day, and everybody always looks to Tupac and Biggie as being the ones that help initiate this new era of hip-hop music, where it's more so about actual substance and it's actually about the music as opposed to just being about beats and everything. It's about what the person is saying behind the microphone. And so what I like about this film is that it, again, focused on Tupac Shakur. It was all about Tupac. And then sometimes what I've seen in some biopics, they go off on these little tangent things, or they go off and start focusing on other characters. But what I like here is you could tell that this was a movie about Tupac Shakur and that the camera stayed focused on Shipp Jr. the entire time. And then of course you had other people who came in. Laura Cohan made a good couple of brief appearances. Danai Gurira as Afeni Shakur, oh my goodness, she was good in this movie. Seriously was good in this movie. She's good in The Walking Dead as Michonne, but everything I've seen her in so far, she is good. She even looks good in a Black Panther trailer, so I can't wait to see her in that. And it's just awesome to see Danai Gurira in this role. It's such a different and radical shift from what she normally plays on the Walking Dead TV show. Now, Jamal Woolard, what I like about him is they, for continuity wise, they brought him back to play Notorious B.I.G. And I thought that was kind of awesome. And I would have liked to have seen them get Corey Hawkins back as well to play Dr. Dre. But I mean, hey, I get it, understand that sometimes scheduling comes up. But what I liked about Jamal Woolard is they didn't focus too much on that relationship and how they ultimately became bitter enemies towards the very end of their lives. But it did show how they were once friends and how they once kicked it with each other and everything, and how Notorious actually was looking out for him in a way. And then Cat Graham is Jada Pickett. She was one of Tupac's friends from the Baltimore School for the Arts. I like how they used her throughout the film sporadically, especially towards the beginning. One other thing that I definitely want to spotlight basically is, again, the life of Tupac Shakur. They weren't afraid to shy away from certain things. I mean, there might have been some things that Benny Boom might have not put in this film, but from what I saw, he was not afraid to go to these dark places and show that Tupac was more than just an artist, a poet, and everything, that he was also a man and that he also makes mistakes, but just like a man has to atone for his mistakes as well. There was a lot of times when I was watching this film that I teared up and I cried, especially when it came to Shipp Jr. and Gurira's performance as mother and son, and how they ultimately loved each other, and how even when times were hard, he was still always there for his mother, and he always kept her at the forefront of his mind. Now, as like with any films, there were some negatives. The only real negatives that I really found was the actor that they had playing Snoop Dogg. I could honestly tell that he wasn't doing a Snoop Dogg impersonation, but Snoop Dogg must have obviously lent his voice to this movie and he was doing a voiceover, because there were certain scenes where the mouths didn't necessarily line up completely with what was going on. And I mean, that's fine. There were a few more performances as well where I could tell that the person talking obviously was not that person. Again, it was just another voiceover. Another thing is the beginning of the film is kind of slow, but not slow in a normal way. And basically basically what you have here in the beginning is we're going through the life of Tupac and how he started from when he was young and then got to where he is now. And so the first half of this film feels like an actual biopic, to where we're actually telling the story, and then towards the end of the film it goes off on what is assumed the last couple of days before he ultimately met his tragic end, that fatal night with Suge Knight. And so I thought that, you know, you could tell that there was a different tone of style there. So overall, I really did think this was a great biopic. Benny Boom, I think this is one of the better films that you have done, way better than Next Day Air. But overall, guys, I was thoroughly impressed with the movie. And so that's why I'm happy to say that I'm going to give this film 9 out of 10 to me. Only problems, again, was the beginning of the film. I felt it was chopped up a little bit. The other thing is that first half felt like a biopic. The second half felt like a totally different movie, kind of similar with Straight Outta Compton. It just kind of, when it got to that third act, it started to get a little different and the tone shifted and everything. But other than that, I thought the film was a solid film. If you want to know more about the artist known as Tupac, if you want to know more about the struggle and the journey of this man and the life and the legacy of him and what he ultimately did for the hip-hop culture, then I definitely recommend you checking this film out. But with that being said, guys, I've talked long enough. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, remember to like, comment, and share. And as I always say, remember to become a savage, stay a savage, and peace out, y'all.